Hi, I'm Sharon Stewart, and I recently found out that my parents have been hiding my origins my whole life. We live in a small port town called Brooks. It's a little town where everybody knows everyone else. Of course, the population of this place is only a few thousand people. Mom and Dad are ordinary people. My dad fixes cars, and my mom draws pictures for children's books. I'm a senior in the local high school, the only school here. I can't say I have a great mind, but I do better than half of my peers. My friends are Sam, or Samantha, and Tony. We've been friends since 4th grade. They're probably my only real friends. Sam lives 2 houses away from me, and Tony is on the next street, so we often get together at one of our houses to talk about this and that. Most of the time, we just watch videos on the computer. One night, as usual, we were sitting in my room watching YouTube. Suddenly, I got a strange email in my inbox. Since only Tony and Sam email me, I was very surprised by the unexpected message from an unknown address. The 3 of us stuck to the monitor screen. I opened the email, and then we were falling out of our chairs. The letter was from a man who introduced himself as my grandfather. Dear Sharon, your grandfather is writing to you. I know this is unexpected, but you must know the truth. Your parents are deceiving you. They make you live an ordinary life, but you are special. I want you to come to our family estate and take your rightful place as Duchess of Abercorn. Write to me when you're ready, and I'll send the fleet to you. Hopefully, your grandfather, the Duke of Abercorn. What? A duchess? What kind of crazy old man wrote this to me? I don't get it. Wow, you're a blue-blooded girl, aren't you? What kind of nonsense are you talking? I'm just a normal American teenager, and this weirdo probably just got the wrong address. But it's your name. Who knows how many Sharons there are around? What if your parents are hiding something from you? Tony, don't be ridiculous. My parents would have told me. Maybe they have a reason for keeping it from you. My friends went home, and I sat there thinking about that weird letter. I can't believe my parents would keep this from me. No, Mom and Dad are just regular people, working regular jobs. We weren't exactly rich either. In the morning, I decided to ask my mom, just to be sure and reassure myself. I didn't believe I had any other relatives. All my life, we just lived, us 3. I don't even have an aunt or uncle, let alone a grandpa who's a duke. It sounds like some kind of joke. Mom, is there anything you want to tell me? What do you mean, honey? You and Daddy aren't hiding anything from me, are you? What are you referring to? Well, for example, that I have an unexpected relative that may show up. Oh, dear. Don't worry. I'm not expecting a baby in my old age. Nah, that's not what I mean. We don't have any relatives in Ireland, for example, do we? Mom was strangely silent and shook her head in the negative, but I saw her face turn pale and her eyes fill with fear. So I decided to talk to Dad about it. He must have something to tell me. When Dad came home from work, I decided to ask him about it all at once. But he, too, started avoiding the conversation in a strange way. There was no other way out. I told them about the email, and that the man introduced himself as my grandfather and called me the Duchess of Abercorn. My parents began to convince me that it was just someone's joke, but from the way they were so nervous, I knew something was wrong. And what do you think I did? Bingo! I wrote back to the email. I'm sorry, but you must have the wrong address. I have an ordinary family, and my parents have nothing to do with Ireland or titles. Therefore, please verify that the address is spelled correctly. Respectfully, Sharon. So I forgot about it, and a week went by. I was on my way back from school with Tony and Sam when we saw a bunch of expensive cars and a bunch of strange people in black suits outside my house. Tony joked that the president of the country himself had arrived, probably to see some old guy for charity. We laughed and all went home. You cannot imagine my surprise when I entered my house, which was filled with people I did not know. They looked, to put it mildly, threatening. I felt like I was in the movie Men in Black. The only thing missing were aliens from outer space. Mom, Dad, what's going on? Who are these people? Sharon, honey, you have to go to your room now. I was about to object when a tall man in a suit and glasses came out of the crowd. Sharon, I'm Mr. Alistair, your grandfather's counsellor, the Duke of Abercorn. I've come to take you to your manor. What? I wrote that you were mistaken. I'm not a duchess. No, you're definitely her. You can ask your parents. Mom? Dad? I'm sorry, baby. I know we should have told you the truth, but there has never been a right time. And anyway, Alistair, what the hell are you doing breaking into our house? We've been looking for you for a long time. There's no time to waste. That's not my problem. Tell my father to go to hell. Soon, my lady. Very soon. My mother's eyes filled with tears, and my father stood there frowning. So my parents really did conceal my origins. It turns out I'm a duchess? The plane landed at the airport in Ireland. I agreed to go meet my grandfather, on the condition that my mother could go with me. We were met with a whole delegation. Cars, guards, servants. Everything as it should be, in their place. I even felt a little uncomfortable. Everyone addressed me as my lady. It was so strange. To live 17 years as an ordinary person and then to become a titled person. Alistair told me in the car that we were almost there. I looked out the window and my jaw dropped. There was a huge castle in front of me, the kind I'd only seen in movies and fairy tale books. The castle was so huge and gray. The only thing it lacked was a moat around it, with piranhas swimming around. We went inside, and Alistair had us escorted to our chambers. The servants came running in, grabbed our suitcases, and whisked them away. Mom, maybe it's time to tell me. I'm not ready for all this. Let's go see Grandpa, and then I'll tell you everything. Alistair said he's very sick, so just let him meet you, and we'll go home. Ma, what if he says I have to stay here? You're old enough and smart enough to decide for yourself. Do what you think is right. After that, we went to our rooms. Alistair said that when Grandpa was ready, he would call for us. But evening came, and still, no one did. There was a knock on the door. A girl came in and said I was expected in the dining room for dinner. She said I should dress appropriately. What was that supposed to mean? I didn't think about it. I just pulled on my jeans and sweatshirt and went downstairs. Alistair, my mother, and an older man were already sitting at the table. He didn't look so good. It was obvious that he was really sick. He had an oxygen mask on his face, and there was an oxygen tank next to him. I guessed he was the Duke of Abercorn, my grandfather. He looked at me ever so intently with his gray, empty eyes. And then somehow, he hummed approvingly. My mother sat there all tense. It was obvious that she was afraid of this old man, but I still didn't know anything, who he was and how we were all connected at all. Milady, I have the honor to introduce you to the Duke of Abercorn, your grandfather. Nice to meet you. My lord is very weak and cannot talk just yet, but when he has enough strength, he would like to talk to you. Ah, good. After dinner, my mom came into my room and told me everything that had previously been kept from me. It turns out that Mom is the daughter of a duke. She grew up in this castle. Her mother, that is, my grandmother, died in childbirth, and my mother was taken care of by babysitters. Her father brought her up strictly and made her study. They have a huge library in the castle, where my mother spent all her free time. It was the only thing that gave her joy. Since the Duke had no other children, he was obsessed with the idea of marrying my mother off to a nobleman, some lord or viscount. Grandfather was the kind of man who honored tradition and was very protective of the title he'd received under the kings. He understood that he urgently needed an heir. Therefore, when Mama was 17, Grandfather began to negotiate marriage with worthy families. Mom did not want to get married. She dreamed of illustrating books. But Grandfather constantly insisted and reminded her that she had no right to choose. And then one day, my grandfather's business companion came to visit, with his son. He was a handsome young man of 19. Mom fell in love with him as soon as she saw him, and, you guessed it, it was my father. But Mom knew that Grandpa wouldn't allow them to be together. Mom's wedding date had already been set. She was getting married to some 30-year-old marquis. She cried all night, and in the morning she told my father that she was getting married soon and he had to go away. But he was so in love with her that he offered to run away with her. Together. Then my grandfather sent his men after them and ordered them to get rid of my father and bring my mother back at any cost. But they managed to get on a ship that was going to America. They changed their names and moved to live in a small town. Dad's father helped them out with that, but on the condition that he would not get the inheritance, as he dishonored him by stealing his business partner's daughter. Dad and Mom, who were in love, were willing to do anything. So that's how they started living in Brooks, and then they had me. And my parents, they didn't even think the Duke was looking for them anymore, until I got that strange email. I listened to my mother's story and cried. How terrible it is when your parents don't understand you and get in the way of your happiness. All this time, she'd been pining for her father so much. My mother says she forgave him long ago, but she wasn't ready to give up her life to be a duchess in a prison castle. I thought about this story for a long time. It seemed strange to me that grandfather would be so cruel to young lovers, much less to his own daughter. I went to bed and had bad, heavy dreams. In the morning, I woke up shattered and still not understanding what I should do. It was probably right to give up everything my grandfather wanted to pass on to me. At breakfast, Alistair told me that Grandpa was ready to talk to me, and I was escorted to his bedroom. The Duke's room was dark, with only a lamp on the table burning. He looked so weak. I sat down by his bed.
Sharon, I'm a man of authority. You've probably already heard. I'm used to handling things quickly and efficiently, but as you can see, I don't have much time left, and I must leave everything I have to my heir. You are my only granddaughter, and you're young to understand running a business and running a farm.
Grandfather, I can't accept all this.
Look, you have no choice. I have a huge business, and you can see for yourself how many employees and servants there are here. These people rely on me. I give them jobs, they feed their families, and I can't leave it at that. But to do that, you have to marry the man I choose for you.
Tell me, guys, did you like my story? Would you like to hear the rest of it and find out what my response was to my grandpa? Write your opinion in the comments below the video. Don't forget to like it, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.